Oh yeah, because you were just doing flagging and all that.
Yep.
Do we have a chat up for the guys?
No. I can make one if you don't want to.
Here, I'll send this to you and you can send it into their chat. Okay, they can't hear me.
Alrighty.
Are we ready to roll?
Yep.
Alright. Welcome everybody to the WEC endurance race at Dubai for the UDL. My name is Pecan36 and I am here with my partner Dylan4243. How are you doing tonight, Dylan?
I am doing great tonight. Just had a great weekend flagging SVRA. It's great to have some real-life racing back at Mid-Ohio. Excited for a great 2.5-hour race tonight here at Dubai, a night race. First one, well, kind of the first one of the season. First one where it will get fully dark, and it does get dark here at Pecan.
Yes, it does. I've actually done some laps here in the LMP2 car. I was practicing with them about a week ago in the car, and it's really dark here. You're gonna have to use your lights, but there is a lot of lights here that do brighten up the track a bit, but not too much. But yeah, I mean, I think traffic management is going to be a big deal to see how it's going to play out, and I'm excited. I'm excited. I always love a good night race, so let's get it going. Right now on the track we have the GTE cars. Go on, Dylan.
I was just about to say that. As always, GTEs are out first, as it looks like
Publix is the first driver that looks like he will be completing a lap. So he is first out of that group. Warrior is last, and then so as the running order goes right now, it's Publix, formerly known as Hefty Bag. So if you hear us saying Hefty Bag, that's who he is. But you got Hefty Bag, Snapper Pig, the Cuddly Koala, and Warrior. We are missing Gale the Whale, who we haven't seen in a while, and we are missing Stallard as well out of the GTE class. Some big time news as far as the UDL for the WEC series goes. There will be a schedule change. There is going to be a slight change to the schedule, as the schedule will be shortened. The driver known as Jonathan M. Liddell, he has left the series. He is not racing anymore. So that will leave Damage all by himself to run in the Audi car in LMP1. So we're also missing how many are we missing from LMP1? I think we're missing.
I believe we're missing one of each car tonight. We're down to one Audi, one Porsche, and one Toyota, as Spidey is not here tonight.
Right. And then the news, of course, with Jonathan as well.
The new schedule that Pecan was talking about. In 2 weeks, we will have Sequito being the final sprint race of the season at 1 hour and 15 minutes. At that night, we can have our sprint champion crowned. After that, we'll have 2 hours and 30 minutes of Algarve, the 3 hours of Daytona, which is quadruple points, the 2.5 hours of Spa, and the 4 hours of Le Mans to finish out the season. So, have a star-studded lineup for tracks, and it is a pure endurance season from now on after Sequito.
We've already got some lap times on the board with Snipper Pig setting a 1.51.9. He's currently on provisional pole. We're following around Cody Koala here with his teammate. Cody Koala has had some tough weeks in his season so far. He got the win at Coda in the sprint race at the beginning of the year, but it's been a very tough year for him.
Yeah, he's had a very average year. Definitely not the highs that he was looking for this season. Not really low lows. He did not have a fantastic finish at Red Bull Ring, but still not terrible. As looking at Red Bull Ring results, he did finish on the podium.
Now, what is the current point standing as it follows? Like, who is currently leading in the points?
In GTE, it is currently the 67 of Warrior with 229 points, with the 63 of Nipper at 152. We are missing Dale the Whale yet again, as he sits in 4th, tied with Cuddly Koala. But because Koala has shown up to all the races, he gets the tiebreaker as they sit at 146 points. And the 71 of Hefty / Publix sits at 103 points. Again, this is a double points endurance round, so there will be 50 points on the table for the win.
Right now, Cody Koala coming down. He's going to cross the start-finish line. He currently gets himself up to P3 in the GTE class, setting a 1.52.8. Snipper Pig is still holding on to pole, and if he holds on to that pole until the timer runs out for the GTE cars, he is right now on track to get his first ever pole. But here comes Warrior. Let's see how he does. Wow, he still hasn't been
not able to do anything.
So Pig is on track to get his first ever pole.
There's enough time for each car here to get 2 laps. Publix might get 3. Probably will. Snipper is right on the edge of getting a 3rd lap.
I think he only has time to do one more. Let's see. With it being at the 2-minute mark, I think he'll only have time to get one more lap in.
And in fact, Publix may get the white flag, so to say, of qualifying. And indeed he will. So these are the penultimate laps.
And he's going to
indeed,
pit
Snipper
this lap
is on an out lap.
He is more than likely going to pit this lap. He only has 1.3 liters of fuel. He does not improve on his time, so it looks like Hefty Bag will be starting from the back of the field.
Warrior and Koala both coming to the final sector. Snipper is starting his final lap of qualifying as we speak. We'll see if Koala can do anything. Comes across the line and does not improve.
See where Warrior is at. 1 more minute to go. 1 more minute to go left in the session for the GTE cars to qualify. So Dylan, what is it about Dubai that these drivers have to look out for? Especially knowing that this is going to be a night race.
To be the key. Even though it's night, you can see the track temp at sunset is 121 degrees Fahrenheit. The track temp is insanely high. Tire crucial, especially for the GTE cars, since they can do a longer fuel stint. Passing isn't impossible here. Again, as we followed Snipper, he got this big hairpin down here at the end of the back straight, as well as another hairpin in sector 2, excuse me. So a lot of the other corners, you can try to work an over-under or something. So passing's not going to be terrible, but conserving those tires, you might not want to run in dirty air.
Checkered flag is going to be waving here for the rest of the GTE field. It looks like Cuddly Koala has aborted his lap, but the LMP2 drivers are now green flag to start their qualifying runs. Pig gets a little bit loose there. We're going to follow Pig here, see how he does, see if he can improve on his time. Coming around the final turn now. Ooh.
Back end slides out on him. You can see him pushing to get that power down and does not improve. We'll see what Warrior's doing.
Right now,
again, track limits. He
pole.
did run a bit wide of the curb, but the track limits this weekend are the green, not the black. He's right there on his best time. He needs to find just over 2/10 in this final sector. It's a very tricky final sector. Only 3 corners. 4 if you include the king, but each one is tricky in their own right. Very easy to run wide in all 3 of them.
Here comes Warrior. Does he improve on his time? He does not, so Snipper Pig will get his first ever pole in GTE. So Snipper Pig gets his first ever pole in the GTE class. So congrats to Pig to getting his first ever pole. He also got his first ever win in the sprint race at the Red Bull Ring. So Pig is right now starting to, he really has come alive here in this series.
Yeah, he's definitely coming on strong for the second half of the season, and considering that we've shortened this season, it is the second half of the season now, for sure, as we are currently sitting, including Dubai, we have 6 rounds remaining, and we are about 5, 6, 7 rounds in. So we have passed the threshold and are over halfway through the season. And again, it's just endurance rounds, so points are going to swing big for the rest of the season each round.
Right now we got Cone as the guy of the leader right here of the LMP2 cars. I believe Cone is still in, no, Intersport is in the points league now, correct?
After the points adjustment, Cone was shown to be shortened by 10 points at one round. The 47 of Intersport does have a 9-point lead over Cone, which the gap between first and second is 14 points tonight. So if Cone or Intersport win this race, whoever wins will leave in the points lead.
But then you have the wild card factor that is XX driver as well that can throw a huge wrench into all of that.
Indeed. Even though he's only done, he's still only 60 points, not even 60 points behind the championship leader. So he is not mathematically out of it yet.
Let's see.
It is definitely unlikely, but he is not out of it.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Cone Dodger just set a 1:44.4, and Intersport then comes around and sets the fastest time of LMP2 as it stands right now with a 1:43.5. So Intersport currently way ahead of his buddy Cone and LMP2 rival as well. We're following the driver here as he's going to come around and put his first lap on the board. He's also carrying way less fuel than Intersport or Cone, but he only sets a 1:44.67. And I have to talk to you about this, Dylan, but how much was that car change has been a benefit for Intersport for the title?
Oh, it's been night and day for him. I mean, he took I think can see that it was a calculated risk, and boy, is he good at math. So, Intersport definitely paying the dividends of switching cars. However, he just ensured that him switching cars, he did not feel as competitive as he could be in the car he started the season out with. So, after swaying race control to let him switch cars, he's proven that this is becoming the championship fight we all hoped it would be.
Cone Dodger just took the pole spot, but Intersport was also up on his time as well, and he will take it back. Whoa, it's so close. Really close. Intersport only has a pole spot for LMP2 by 1/100th of a second.
Far less than the blink of an eye, half the length of the blink of an eye. And folks, we're talking about a 1/10 of a mile an hour in one corner. That is all that separates them.
Driver does improve on his time, but it's not enough to get right into that battle between Intersport and Cone for pole. You know what, those two have to be smiling with just seeing where their current times are at, and you know that these two guys, like their friendship and the rivalry that they have of always wanting to compete against each other and beat each other is probably only going to get higher here tonight.
Oh, for sure. Definitely a gentleman's rivalry, but a rivalry nonetheless. Off the track, they are great pals. On the track, they will do each other no favors at all. They'll do whatever it takes to win this LMP2 championship.
Cone Dodger is very up on his time as well. Right now, he's on pace to take pole. He was 3/10 up on his time. So let's see what he can do here, but I'm going to predict that he takes pole. Coming around this, he's coming down the straight. He does take pole with a 1.43.2. Intersport was massively down on his time, but
he could have been cooling the tires off for a lap again. The LMP2 car, this is going to be the story of this race, is overheating tires. You got to make sure that you don't use them too hard for too long.
Driver has went back to the pits. We will let you guys know if he does decide to come back out. Cone Dodger has gone back to the pits as well. They still have time to come back out. Yes, driver is coming back out. We are waiting to see if Cone is going to come back out, and yes, he does. Cone does come back out, so they will come back out and do one more lap to try. Well, Cone is probably going to come out and try to improve on his time, as he knows that his rival is just going to do anything he can to gun him down, and driver is going to come back out to try and improve on his time, to try to give those two top drivers any chance of a battle in qualifying. Ooh, and Intersport has spun.
And he was up on his time.
He was up on his time, and that's not what he needed to happen, but he does have a chance to do one more lap. He can cross the line. I imagine that he will get the white flag here if he does decide to finish this lap, because if he goes back to pits now, he will not have enough time to get a hot lap in. But that was a disastrous result that Intersport could win there.
Indeed, he was up on his time. He's going to take it easy through the third sector, make sure that his...
Dylan, I lost you there.
I am here. I unplugged my microphone from my PlayStation. I lost my train of thought. Make sure that he cools the tires down from his spin. Make sure they aren't overheated, and he is back underway for his final qualifying lap.
Now, let's see. Driver is coming around here. He will be able to get a lap in. So driver will be able to get a lap in. Now, I think Cone will be able to get a lap in as well. Yeah, Cone is really, really, really close. to that start-finish line. It's going to be cutting it close, though. Goes way off the track there, but that wasn't his lap. So yes, the checkered flag is out, but all three drivers are going to be able to try and complete a lap. Intersport is down on his time. He is not improving. While all of that is going on, LMP1 is now allowed to go out there on the track to qualify for their spots. So here we have Intersport here and driver and cone dodger right now on the track. We're going to follow along Intersport here as he will be the first one to be done in this queue of drivers on the track. I have to say, I'm still massively impressed with Intersport's, I mean, not Intersport, but... Oh, and he spins out! Again, he spins out on his hot lap, and that is going to be it for Intersport. It has not gone right for Intersport at all on his last two hot laps. That is heartbreaking for Intersport there. Now it's up to driver who's going to try and improve on his time as well to try and give any of those two drivers a battle in the top two of the LMP2 field. Driver's now coming around the final turn. See what he can do here. Can he improve on his time? Get up there. He does not. So he does not improve on his time. So that means Cone Dodger will take P1 in LMP2, and he improves on his time as well. Salt in the wound. Cone Dodger has applied. Here comes Texas time. I think we have lost our broadcast partner, Dylan, as well.
Sorry about that, Pecan. I am back as LMP1 qualifying gets underway. Had to take care of some final tidying up for Mid-Ohio this weekend.
Texas time is the first driver out there to start a lap. I also want to say congrats to Cone Dodger and Pig on getting poles in their respective classes. Now, what is the points lead going on now for the LMP1 field, Dylan?
The points in LMP1 is definitely the battle of Toyota versus Porsche. Texas has been on a roll lately. I mean, honestly, all season. He's won 4 of the 7 races so far. And Dan has won 2, which puts Dan in second. And Texas has a 22-point lead over Dan. So if Dan can win tonight's race, it will cut that 22 points down to 8, meaning that the final sprint cup round could swing the championship in his way as we head into the endurance finale. Speaking of which, the endurance points right now, which is the endurance only rounds, as Texas sets a 1:33.5 as his first lap.
Damage decides to abort a lap. He has decided to abort his lap. Daniel sets a 1:34.4. Now, this is something that you don't see a lot in the other two classes, but most of the time when the LMP1s go out to qualify, they only set at least one lap and then they go straight back into the pit. So that will happen a lot. We're going to see how Damage does today as he improved, got probably the best finish of his LMP1 career in the last race at Austria. So Damage is right now riding on a huge wave of momentum, as there was a lot of talks about him possibly switching over to the LMP2 field, but he got a great finish. He finished in P2 trying to chase down Texas, who was running out of fuel there right at the end at the Red Bull Ring, but too little, too late, and Texas was still able to win that race. But Damage is going to try
Indeed.
and build on that momentum that he got from last week's race.
It was definitely a nail biter at Red Bull Ring, folks. I would highly recommend going back to watch that if you haven't seen it already. But Damage is definitely looking to capitalize. At this point, he's just going for wins. He's got nothing to lose in the championship because he's almost out of contention as it is. And it is pretty much between Dan and Texas for the championship. So Damage, you might see some curveball strategies thrown out there with fuel and or tires tonight from Damage. Going again, he has nothing to lose by doing an off strategy.
So would you say that tonight's race is a two-stop race for everybody tonight?
I would say it's a two-stop race for sure. We may see some three-stop races for tires. That's going to be the call, especially the GTE cars. I know they can make it on two stops for fuel. Pardon me. It's a 2.5-hour race. That extra 30 minutes means... That extra 30 minute means that GT cars, if I recall correctly from when I did a 2.5-hour race here, 2 full fuel stints and a splash. So we could see some of the GT cars do that splash at the end of their first stint, or we could see them put it somewhere towards the latter stages of the race. In LMP2 and LMP3, it's definitely going to be 3, if not 4 stops for fuel. However, do you slightly short fuel the car to make it lighter on the tires as Dan takes out one of the braking markers pushing for pole? You could short fill the car, commit to 4 stops early on in the race, but be faster and lighter on your tires pushing longer into the run. That's going to be the strategy call in the prototype classes tonight. Dan does improve on his time, but not position, as he is still second place, almost 7/10 behind Texas.
Here comes Damage. He's going to set his first lap of the session, and he sets a 1:34.7 as he quickly comes back out. Texas, who I believe is now on his hot lap, he's going to try and improve on his time here to make sure that he has pole position locked up. So if you're Damaged here, what are you exactly going to try and do in tonight's race if you have to start in the back between Daniel and Texas?
If I'm Damaged, I'm definitely committing to an extra stop over the competition. You already know that you have the worst fuel economy in the class because the Audi got nerfed in real life at Le Mans. And the Audi isn't exactly known for being easy on its tires. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not known for being great on the tires. So, if I was Damaged, I would have calculated before the race started how to space out. Okay, 4 stops. That's 30. So that's every 30 minutes he's pitting. I would have calculated exactly how much fuel it takes me to go 30 minutes, add a lap extra just to be safe, and I'd be doing 4-stop strategy right off the bat.
Just letting it be known, Daniel right now is also coming to the white flag here. The white flag is now out for the LMP1 field. Texas time will not do another lap as he is currently on provisional pole with a 1.33.5. Damage is also starting his final hot lap as well. So this is it, boys. Let's see what Texas' main rival can do in this series. This is the one guy that's been able to challenge him the whole entire year.
indeed, Daniel's been his biggest competition since day one. We saw Spidey pop up a couple races ago and claim a win, but that was an odd race. I believe that was at Nürburgring. So that was a very strung out race and honestly not a good race for Texas or Dan. So we'll see what Dan and Damage are able to do. Damage needs over a second to get pole. Daniel needs almost 3/4 of a second. It'll be close to see whether they can get it or not as they both come into the third sector. Daniel puts the power down, makes sure not to understeer too wide through that corner, keeps it flat, downshifts a couple gears through the final corner on the power, using all the curb on the exit, and he will improve his time but not his position.
Following Damage here, he's coming around the final turn, shifts down into 3. I can't see what miles per hour he's at though. He shifts right back up to 4th, and he will probably stay in 3rd, I'm assuming. Got a blank screen right now. Damage did not improve on his time though, but Texas time.
No, I think he did, just not his
did.
position.
Just not his.
Because he was 1.1, now he's 1.0. So
gotcha.
Daniel and Damage both finding a couple tenths on their final lap, but that was not enough to do it.
But it's not
as
enough.
we see the beautiful backdrop of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates here at sunset as we get ready for the race.
So we're going to take you down the grid here. We got Texas time on pole, Daniel in P2, and Damage in P3. That is your LMP1 field. You will have Cone Dodger starting on pole in LMP2 with Intersport behind him and Driver in 3rd. And in GTE, on his first ever pole, it's Snipper Pig with Warrior, the Cully Koala, and Publix / Hefty Bag in 4th. So that is your grid today for this race. I have to ask you, Dylan, what are your predictions for this race?
The Fords are known for being good on their tires, Pecan. So I honestly, I'm not. This track suits the Corvette. It's lots of long, flowing corners. I'm not surprised it got pole at all. However, I think in the long stint, the Fords are gonna get the Corvette. And LMP2, I expect another hard-fought battle between Cone and Intersport. Would expect nothing less. And honestly, Driver's not that far behind. He could definitely become a wild card factor in this thing again. As the field gets underway in LMP1, I expect to see Texas, I'm not going to say put on a clinic, but I expect him to pull to about a 15-20 second gap in the first half hour of the race and hold it there for most of the rest of it, as we will have class splits again for this start.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are now on the formation lap of the WEC endurance race here at Dubai. Do not forget, folks, in 2 more weeks it will be the final sprint race of the year. Gonna look at all the cars here in the lineup as the drivers will be spreading out. The classes will spread out. They will be starting in rows of 2. But in LMP1, if I had to pick of who I think is going to win this race, with the way that it's looking, I mean, obviously the safe pack is Texas, but I'm going to go with the wild card here, and I think he's going to build on his momentum, and I think Damage is going to win this race. I'm going to predict that maybe Texas and Daniel run into each other here at the start, and it's going to be pretty big, and that will allow Damage to get a nice, big gap and lead going. Out of LMP2, I can see Intersport winning, and for GTE, I'm not going to go with the wild card here, but I think Warrior will pull out the win. Here we go,
Good
folks.
picks as they come into the end of the second sector. Another. This is one of the more straightforward corners. A nice, simple hairpin as they head down the second back straight. The street that isn't straight as they come through the left-handed king.
As they are being led by the number 1 driver in the number 1 car with Texas time. We're getting close, folks. I can feel the tension in the air.
You can see it's a longer lap here, so traffic won't be as crucial as Red Bull Ring, but it still will be important as we come into the final corner, onto the front straight. The lights come on, and we're green.
Flag here in LMP1. It looks like Texas got off to a good start, but Daniel looks like he got to an even better start. He's challenging him on the outside, but Texas, ooh, and it looks like Damage almost runs into the back of Daniel there, but Texas is free. Cone Dodger gets a good run. He's in P1 with Intersport following. Intersport slides, he spins, and driver runs into the side of him. So Intersport gets really loose, and driver hit him head on. You know he has to have some damage there. And Pig, who got a good run, he was in first going into turn 1, and he slides out. That will give the lead to Warrior, and Hacky Bag is down second, and Pig goes all the way down to third. But Cone is free all the way in P1. Texas holds the lead in LMP1 as well.
As we've seen in previous races, it looks like GTE is going to be the closest battle throughout the race, as Hefty/Publix is putting the pressure on Warrior. It's a very easy thing to do. What Snipper did in turn 1, he took a defensive line, compromised his exit as he's pushed wide through the middle of the corner. Couldn't get on the power early enough, and Warrior and Publix both got the run on Snipper, as Koala looking to also capitalize on Snipper's frustration over that start.
I wonder how much damage driver has to his car from hitting into Intersport there. He hit Intersport head on there with the front of his car, so I wonder how much damage both of those drivers have. I don't know if Intersport took a lot of damage there, but I think driver most definitely did. Damage is starting to get a run on Daniel here.
He's definitely keeping with them, as I keep an eye on the other two classes, as Intersport and Intersport and Driver probably both have damage, but that's not stopping them from going at it as they head into the end of the first sector here at the never-ending right-hand corner that just tightens. Driver catching a little bit of curb wrong, sends him to the inside of the corner, using all of the track limits, which is exactly why the drivers asked for them to be moved out to the green instead of the white line you see that goes along the edge of the track that we usually do for other circuits.
Not a whole lot of passing going on here, but Warrior is starting to get away from the GTE field with Pig right on top of Hefty Bag here in the Ferrari. I wonder if Pig is going to try and go for a move. They got the long straight, and it looks like he is going for it to try and take P2. And Damage has pit. Damage is pitting. Damage is in the pits.
Snipper not able to get that move done, but Damage definitely going off sequence. I mean, he definitely cannot make it on 3 stops now. It'll be close whether he can make it on 4, to be honest.
I wonder if he got into the back of Daniel there or what. We had probably missed it, but I don't know if he got into the back of...
Honestly, what it could be is just Damage knew he would be a lap or two short of fuel at the end of the race, and he could just be pitting now to get in clean air, get off sequence, which hopefully it works. But again, this could be some of the weird strategy calls I was talking about with Damage having nothing to lose in the championship. As Snipper is right on the back of Publix, pops to the outside, tries to make the same move that was made on him the opening lap, cannot hold it around the outside, but is able to get the run on the exit. Publix squeezes him to the apex, defends into turn 3, all of which was proactive, none of which was reactive. He was just defending, not blocking. There is a difference. Snipper peeks to the inside at the never-ending right-hand corner, through the left-hand carousel onto the back straight, and we'll see what kind of run they can get.
Wasn't too hefty back there, and he took himself out. I don't know if he was trying to go for a move there or if that got really wide, but Pig has pretty much took himself out of this race. He took pole, and it has just crumbled for him in this race.
Indeed it has. Not the start that Pig has wanted, as the field is pretty spread out now as a result of that incident. Closest battle will be between Intersport and Driver as Damage makes his way back past him. Intersport setting personal best lap that time through.
Something happened.
Oh! As Driver just went off in turn 2, hit the curb wrong, back end snapped on him. Could be suspension damage from that incident with Intersport, not sure. Driver definitely not happy with his car right now, though.
Right now, Cone Dodger is in control of the LMP2 race, and is actually currently in P3 for overall. Texas Time currently has a hold of the race for LMP1. Nobody is really challenging him at all. He is lapping about 0.6 faster than Daniel, who is in second.
Indeed he is. In fact, if anything, that gap per lap has shrunk a little bit because we're only 5 laps in and he has a 5-second lead. So that was averaging a second a lap. Meanwhile, Snipper, after that spinning himself on the back of the Ferrari of Publix, has already caught back up to the Cuddly Koala. Speaking of catching up, the LMP1 field is about to catch the back of the GTE field for the first time this race. So, take some about 10 minutes, as we need to factor in the class split and the fact they're running in clean air currently. Though that means 23 rounds of lap traffic.
Pig has also gone around the Cuddly Koala there to take away the last podium spot in GTE. Koala goes a little bit off track there, but I imagine that was to allow the LMP1 driver of Texas Time there through.
Damage has gotten himself back into third overall as Texas works through the traffic. And I'll tell you what, it's amazing how much these drivers slice and dice their way through traffic. Just working at Mid-Ohio this weekend, I saw 3 and even 4 wide in certain spots, so these drivers are definitely frantic, just like in real life, to get through this traffic as we see Texas come up. His downforce is far superior than that of a GTE car, which means at the beginning parts of this corner, he's so much faster. And you can see he can get right on the back of that Ford. However, at that apex, when the corner tightened, the Ford has more mechanical grip. As we look at Daniel here, If you look at the corner apex speed here, we'll take the GTE leader and the LMP1 leader of Texas and Warrior. Texas slows down to 43 miles an hour. Warrior slows down to 39. So as you can see, not much difference in the mechanical grip department.
Colin Dodger right now still in control of the LMP2 race. Unfortunately, we aren't going to get the battle that we thought we were going to get with Intersport having that slide and Driver running into him. So I would have to think that both of them are nursing some damage on their cars. And Cone Dodger got out of that turn one, lap one wreck pretty clean. So he's right now in a good spot to just continue this race and just hold a huge lead. Daniel has lost a lot of time to Texas.
Indeed, I wonder if I wonder if Damage and Daniel did have a small little tussle with each other that resulted in damage for both cars, which would be why MRI Damage pitted earlier on lap 3.
I still haven't caught up to the back of the LMP2 cars just yet, but I imagine pretty soon they will be catching up to the LMP2 field. But traffic management, from what I know, shouldn't be too bad here. You do have a lot of space, especially on the straights, so it shouldn't be too bad in this race.
You are correct. Regardless, I mean, we've already seen Snipper use some of it, as well as Intersport and Driver. There is plenty of runoff at this track. And honestly, that's one of the things I like about this track. Other than blatant corner cutting, it doesn't really pay off to run wide that much. Because you're either slowing down for hairpins, which if you run wide, you're just traveling such a longer route it doesn't pay off, or you bobble over the curb and it just puts you off for the next corner. As we follow Texas through this first sector, you can see 1 into 2 as we hop on board with him. This all just flows. This is just such a flowing track. If you go off, it is so hard to get your rhythm back that lap. See him cut down to the apex there onto the back straight, using all of the hybrid that he can, get him up to 100 and almost 80 miles an hour to 177, all the way down, outbrakes himself.
Ooh, he goes way off the track there. I'll have to imagine the stewards are going to give him a warning there.
Indeed, they will.
He's trying to do anything that he can to get back into the race. He has now caught up to the back of the GTE field. He's caught up to the back of the Kohei Koala that got held up for just a second. I don't think it rains in Dubai, does it?
Rain is very uncommon in Dubai, however, it is not unheard of. This will be a dry race, I do believe. However, just this year, the 24 hours of Dubai was monsooned out as they had feet of standing water in certain parts around the track, including pit lane.
So it's not impossible, but there's no chance tonight.
If I recall correctly, I do not believe rain was in the forecast today, as Damage is working his way through the GTE field for the first time.
I think driver is definitely nursing some damage from that turn 1, lap 1 wreck. His pace is not on par with the other two drivers of his class, and it definitely has to be damaged. He definitely has to have some damage on that car, or at least something to the front arrow or the front suspension of that car.
As an official warning for car number 1 has gone out. Damage going around the outside of Warrior. Warrior flashing in response. Not sure that was a thank you for letting me take my line thank you flash. Or whether it was you're an insane LMP1 driver, what are you doing flash. Meanwhile, Publix is under a slightly increasing threat of Snipper.
I was just
who has
about to
almost
say,
closed
yeah.
in.
It looks like there might be a battle here. We haven't really had a battle here since I think the first lap.
Yeah, I think it was lap 2, turn, what is that, 6? Turn 7, excuse me. The carousel, since we've seen has 4 position other than Snipper charging his way past Koala. Now back up to Hefty Bag slash Publix.
Trying to do his best to get a good run on that Ferrari. It looks like Hefty Bag is going for a very defensive line here down the straight to try and cover any ground that he can away from Pig, but Pig is getting really close. Pig is now on the back of Bag.
And you can see Hefty took a defensive line through turn 1, and he's just now able to reset and get back online now that he's in turn 5 heading into turn 6. The first sector, especially at this track, they're all connected. As you can see, Hefty Bag's left front tire is overheating a little bit now that he's pushing the car. Sniffer's struggling with the left rear, not as much as Publix is, but again, tire temp, even though it's night, it's still 121 degree track
I think
temp.
Pig's got a run. Pig has a good run on him going down into the hairpin, but I think Bag is going to have the better line. He does. And Pig is going to have to fight another day.
Yeah, Publix did a great job parking it on the apex for that run. Meanwhile, the LMP2 and LMP1 leaders are working their way through GTE traffic, as indeed it was 10 minutes since last time Texas has been there. Meanwhile, we're going to jump back up to this battle for second in GTE.
Not a whole lot of battling going on right now on the track, except the battle for P2. As Pig looks like he has a
Hefty. It's a little bit wide. The back end stepped out on him under braking there as he touched the curb under braking.
As he's going to go for a defensive line. He's going for a defensive line here. What is Pig going to do? He's going to have to go to the outside.
Ooh, Hefty.
Almost pulled a double move.
Yeah, playing the fine line of the Pruitt fade.
I was just about to bring that up. That almost looked like a Pruitt fade there that he almost gave to Pig. That was exactly what I was going to bring up, as it looked exactly like that. So it was still a legal move to make, but it's still fine, as we got a LMP1 driver trying to make it through the field. I think that's Texas that's getting caught up in their battle, as he ran over one of the barriers there, and he kind of goes off track there to get around them.
Meanwhile, Cone is in the pits. Our LMP2 leader is in the pits. definitely not a scheduled stop unless if he's getting his splash out of the way. Maybe he knows he has to do it on 4 stops, 3 full fuel stints, and then a splash as the car waiting to get underway. Fuel's done. Tires are done. Excuse me, tires are not done. They're done separately. And
I can only imagine of what's going on inside the head of Hefty Bag here, knowing that he has that Chevrolet Corvette. Just, it's been behind him for quite a few laps now. I think this is the other LMP1 of Daniel here, who is now caught up to the back of the...
Cone's going to go lap down. Cone is a lap down to Intersport, folks. So our LMP2 leader that had a heck of a lead on the field is now a lap down. Wonder if Cone had to use the bathroom, perhaps. That's the only thing I could think of that would take this long.
It was either that he had a massive wreck or he had to take a piss. We don't know. We'll probably find out.
Honestly,
right
that's
after the race, but I mean,
these are sim racing problems, and they do happen from time to time. However, that has put him on a huge disadvantage. Meanwhile, Intersport, our new LMP2 leader, is working his way through this battle for second in GTE.
And it looks like those drivers that had to come up and slice and dice their way through the field has kind of cut into Pig's chance. And Pig runs over the barrier.
Yeah, the braking markers here usually do 1 or 2 aero damage, depending on how you hit them. Definitely don't want to be hitting any of the foam blocks down here.
Ooh, and it looks like Pig almost went for a move there. Almost. It looked like he was just taking a different line. Don't know if that dirty air from the car in front of him did anything to it.
Yeah, Hefty definitely watching his mirrors here. Ferrari does have a actually quite useful rear view camera that you can use in the car, as well as most of the drivers are using the fictional top of the screen here, as Hefty immediately goes down to the inside line. Snipper, as with the previous few laps, pops to the outside. Hefty fades. Snipper keeping it on the outside. If he can
really
keep
close.
it for 2, it'll be close.
I think he might have to yield here, though. He might have to yield. And he does yield to Bag. Bag is doing a great job defending his spot against Pig here. But knowing Bag, he has to be so annoyed that he just will not go away.
Yeah, the Corvettes are not known for just giving up at a small fight, unless of course it has to do with COVID-19.
It looks like Pig went up the track there a little bit. We'll probably give him one more chance before he gets an official warning, but it does look like he's going for the move. Can he keep him on the outside? It looks like they might have touched there.
He pushes wide. Both of them using all of the track limits that they can, making sure to keep at least 2 tires on the green.
Pig is going to try and go for a move here. Can he pull it off? He goes for the
undercut.
Oh! And he runs into Hefty Bag. Oh no!
That is twice this race.
That will have to be looked at. That will have to be looked at for sure.
That is definitely under review. We'll have to see what the officials' ruling is on that.
If I was an official, I would tell both of them to save their footage when they make their first pit. Because here, and Pig has to pit. He has damage. He has damage on that car for sure. Very unfortunate there for Pig. as right now it looks like XX Driver is now in the back of the Ferrari there of Hefty Bad. So very unfortunate move there for Pig. So we got a bunch of early stops already with damage at the start of the race, having to pit. And then you got Cone Dodger, who was the leader of the LMP2 field, who pitted as well. But we have no idea if that was for possible damage or a bathroom break. And then you have Pig having to pit for damage on his car after he has now ran into Hefty Bag twice. So definitely getting some early stops in already into this race. But right now, our only battle is now gone from the race. So Texas Time is in control of the LMP1 field. Intersport right now in control of the LMP2 field. And Warrior right now in control of the GTE field. So not a lot of surprises going on except for what has happened to Cone, but it's definitely been pretty much as you could probably predict if you didn't make any wild card picks, that this is exactly the way that it was going to go.
Yeah, definitely looking at the standings, you would predict Texas and Warrior and Intersport to win the race. However, this could be the third week in a row that the 47 finishes in the top two. Could be the third week in a row the 47 wins.
Yeah, because didn't Intersport win the last race? Yeah, I believe he actually won the
Yes, he did.
last race.
Cone has been on a slump the past few races. Both Intersport and Cone no-showed at Fuji. Intersport had personal issues, and Cone, in fairness of keeping the championship alive between them, also did not run voluntarily.
You think
And
after
then,
making that decision in hindsight right now that may have not been the smartest move for Cone with how much Intersport has improved, especially in the brand new car that he is in? That
Definitely the case, as that was Driver? No.
Yeah, Driver. Yeah, that was Driver and Bag.
Was that? Yeah, that was Driver pulled off at the corner exit of the course for some reason. Definitely not a safe place to be stopped, as Cone did amazing job to avoid that incident. But as I was saying, Cone's been on a bit of a slump. Yes, he won Road America, but excluding that, 3 of the last 4 races he has either DNS'd or has finished third, when Jeff has finished second, first versus Cone's first, thirds. So Cone desperately hoping for something to happen to Intersport, as looking at their fastest laps again, Intersport yet to set a fast lap because of damage. So Intersport's fastest lap, however, is still faster than Cone's. So if Intersport does have damage, it is not showing on the car.
Texas right now is just running away with it in the LMP1 field. Cone Dodger slowly but surely is starting to crawl his way back through the field, trying to get back to those LMP2 guys, but just like you said, he is currently a lap down. So he has a lot of ground to pick up in this race.